Hey, folks, and welcome to a Friday edition of Money and Politics. And I am glad to be back with you. I hope you watched the interview yesterday we did with Allison Brunn, and she was the first person to buy an NFT off the website of Humble, and she got it, the one you may have remember seeing it, the one of Clint Eastwood. I thought that was interesting. It was fun to visit with her both on camera, and we had a good conversation afterwards with Allison. In fact, she sent me a note today that she had so many questions being asked about NFTs, and because she has done her own homework on the topic, that she thought it might be good to have a live session sometime where she and I could be taking your questions. And I'm not sure exactly how that would work. We could be doing it, I think, easy enough off of Twitter, and I could have the Twitter feed just off camera, and then I could be posing the questions to Allison, or maybe even set it up where she could just be following me and seeing the questions coming in as well. So that might be something. We don't have anything worked out, but that might be something. I thought it was an intriguing idea. I had actually thought of doing that before, to do a live shot, and if we did it, it would be, I think, more fun to have someone on air with me, and so we might look forward to that. So if you haven't watched it, I think it's a little bit different than what we normally do, and I think that's why it would be kind of fun to take a look at it. Now, briefly, I'm going to introduce a new stock today, and you might want to have just take notes or just, flag this and watch it again. But first, let's take a look at what we have going on here with Humble. And it was down, but not a lot. And I thought what was interesting today, when you see that we were down to about $1.37 earlier in the day, and right at the end, and this was true of the markets as well, we kind of spiked up. And so just before the close, we were, actually that number I'm getting here is so small for me to read. I think that's 137. And so we shot up about 5 cents right near the end. And if you look at the top of the screens here, I know it may be hard to read, but the S&P kind of shot up and the NASDAQ shot up right in the end, as well as, to a lesser extent, but still true, the Russell 2000. So I don't think there was any particular reason that it went down. It's just kind of normal trading is what I would say, if we ever have normal trading for Humble. The volume was, okay, 7 million shares traded, but it was below the average of recent days. So I wouldn't say there was overwhelming conviction. I don't take any lesson, you might say, out of what we are seeing in today's action. It was just a day at the market. Now, you might remember that I asked just a while back to say, hey, write me and send me your ideas for stocks. And I got a very interesting letter, and I'm going to be reading a bit of that to you, because this was the kind of recommendation where some people in the past just said, what do you think of ABC stock or BYS stock or whatever? And they didn't give me any kind of background. I'm going to read you some of the research notes that this friend, one of our Humble followers, wrote. I don't like to use people's names if they don't allow me to. But he wrote from the Netherlands, so we're getting a European viewer of the channel. So without further ado, the stock is XYNX, ZYXI. You can see it's $15.73. You can see the action for the day, for the last 5 days. Nothing to look at necessarily there, but over the last month, that's interesting. How about the year to date? If I can get it there. As with everyone else, it kind of spiked near the end of January and early February, and then came down. This is similar to a lot of patterns we've seen. And here on the 13th of May, remember the 20th of May was the low point for Humble. This was down to $13, and so it's recovered some. And if we look over a year, it's a mishmash. Now, let's look as we go down. Look on the right-hand column here. First of all, we see the earnings. And if we go back to the first quarter of, the third quarter of last year, they came in a consensus. And then, hang on with me, folks. I'm trying to look at this on a little larger screen. Okay. So in the second quarter of 2020, they met consensus. On the third quarter, they just missed. They just missed in the fourth quarter, but in the first quarter of this year, they did beat. And you see the green dot just above the estimated earnings. The estimated earnings was to lose 3 cents a share. They actually made 2 cents. And they are on the same earnings cycle as Humble. So they're going to be having their second quarter earnings come out in July. Now, again, looking at the right-hand side of the screen, as I go past money and politics, you can see here the financials as far as the revenue. So back in 17, they had $23 million. In 2019, it had gone to 45 million, so they doubled that. And then the last green bar, which really shot up, they're up to $80 million. One thing that you say, well, when we look at the blue line, which is earnings versus revenue, you might say, well, what the heck? They went from having $45.5 million in revenue to $80 million, and yet their earnings went down by $500,000. So number one, they are earning money. That's one thing I want to point out. But why did it go down $500,000? And this is where I'm going to read some from my friend here. And so you'll forgive me if I'm looking off screen as I do this, because I have to. But what he says, he brings it, and he said, and I said, remember, I said, give me your idea for stocks, and on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the best, what is your level of conviction? So he said that you asked for an interesting stocks, check out ZYXI. I am 100% certain the stock will explode on the upside. On a scale of 1 to 5, I rate this stock a clear 1, and here's why. The stock tanked after a lower EBITDA. I'm not going to go into what that is. And even a negative EBITDA in the first quarter of 2021. But that was due to increased hiring pace of sales. So that's what I want to get to. The point is the earnings went down because they're hiring a lot more salesmen. That was due to increased hiring rate of sales. Which is 3 to 4 times higher than in 2019, and the initial cost of training and the ineffectiveness of salesmen as they are in the early part of their sales career, combined with the revenue flow from orders. Anyway, the market does not yet understand this business model and or the phase where the company is in its development. And I apologize. I realize I should have gone to, let me come over here and bring in the profile. And of course on Yahoo you click profile and you can go down and read that. And excuse me, this would be, as we look at the profile, and I need to do it over on my screen. This is like live to tape, folks, so it's been another day of rushing. XYNX, through its subsidiaries, designs, manufactures, and markets medical devices to treat chronic and acute pain and activates and exercise muscles for rehabilitation purposes with electrical stimulation. It offers Next Wave, a dual-channel, multimodality current, and I'm going to skip some of the terminology here, which is medical jargon. In-wave electrical stimulation for the treatment of female urinary incontinence, and E-wave, an MN a device. The company also supplies electrodes for the delivery of electrical current to the body and batteries and use of electrotherapy. You can read that if you want. I'm skipping over this some, but I just want to give you an idea of what it is. But go to that. I want to go ahead and read this area here where I can get back to the letter. So when we get back to the our friend giving us the letter of why he thinks this is good, the stock moved from the OTC to the NASDAQ in 2019 or 2018. He goes, I don't remember exactly. Few analysts are following the stock. They have set targets of approximately 30 cents to the stock. I think they will up their estimates dramatically during the third and fourth quarter of 2021. They are hiring sales reps, as we discussed, in a very rapid pace. Due to the COVID, they have been able to attract even more salesmen. In the beginning, that cost them money, which, as we already discussed, why their earnings didn't go up higher, even though their sales have shot up. The amount of sales reps have approximately quadrupled in 2020. Now it is just over 500. The hiring pace will decrease, and by the end of 2021, the number of sales reps will be approximately 600. The end goal is approximately 800 in the future, and by that time, they will have covered all of the U.S. regions. One sales order has a lifespan within 5 years of approximately 98% of the revenue that will be recognized. And you know what I'm thinking I'll do here, folks? I think what I'm going to do is copy and paste this under the description of the what we're doing here on the video. But let me skip ahead to some of this. You can read it all. This stock has a short ratio of approximately 27%. Surprising earnings, of which I'm certain might set off a covering reaction. The amount of outstanding shares is approximately 34 million, which is so a rather tight float. And in March of 2021, the company released a buyback for 10 million. I honestly do not see why this stock will not triple in 6 months and even be worth more than $100 somewhere in 2022. And again, this is a stock that is currently trading at just under $16. So I think this is one, folks, to put on your radar screen. It does sound very interesting. It does sound like they have a plan for real growth. You see down the lower left of the first column where it says fair value. They kind of have it in the middle. In the last year, it had a low of $12.53 and a high of just under $30, $29.73. So you can see from the 52-week high low that we are in the middle range here. And as I said, it's never great television to be trying to read what really wasn't even written for being read aloud. So it's hard to go through that without stumbling, which will be frustrating for you all. So I'll copy that and paste it in under the video. But I do think this sounds like a very interesting company. It's in the medical field, as we just said. And so it is also relative to diversification, good to have stocks that are in different sectors of the economy. And this is, as if I haven't made clear, let me make it clear, this is also a global market company. So like Humble, this is a company that has plans to grow internationally. And I like the scene, as I showed you earlier, and you go down on that first column. This is where they have earnings. Their earnings have been, their revenues, as you can see, is a reflection of adding more salesmen. So now as their hiring slows, it would make sense that this earnings would go up. And if you go to Yahoo, you can see that they had 2 months ago, the first quarter earnings. You can take a look at that. I think this is a very interesting company. It's not the only one that I got that was interesting, but I think this might be the most interesting of the ones that I did have a chance to kind of take a look at, and so I wanted to share that with you. So, that being said, it continues to be busy. Relative to my day job, the legislature went out at the end of May, but lo and behold, they're coming back for 2 days this coming week. So I'm going to be a little tied up, but I think I'll still be able to get the show out. And let me know what you think as you look at XYNX, what you think of this, because I think it has promise. And as I said, I'll let you read what I got from our friend here in the Netherlands, which I had never heard of this company, and it's one of the advantages of Humble Nation that we can share ideas like this. So let me know what you think of that. If you have some other ideas we should be looking at, let me know that. I'm also going to probably be off next Friday because I have one of my sons just accepted a job, and he's going to be moving from the Chicago area to Florida, so I want to see him while I can still drive to see him. And then I'll also be going to Miami at some point in the future so I can visit him there. And but anyway, I'll be taking Friday off next week. That's a whole week from now. So we'll keep following up. Again, if you didn't see the interview from yesterday with Allison, who we talked to from New York, and she was the buyer of the Clint Eastwood NFT, take a look at that. I hope you like that. If you like those interviews, that's another thing you can tell me. If you like when I do the interviews, I think it adds a nice variety to what I bring to the table. I think it's nice here and there to get some other voices, and Allison is as Rebecca and as Scott down in Atlanta. They all bring some new perspective to the Humble story. So I like doing that. I think we'll continue to do that. In the meantime, folks, I'll quit jabbering, but thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate your following. Give us a thumbs up. Share the videos with others if you have friends or family you think should be following the Humble story. It's going to be continuing to be good, I think, throughout this year. So don't worry about a down day here and there. In the meantime, we'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.